Namo Phat, good morning. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The second mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I vow to cultivate loving kindness and learn ways to work for the well-being of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I will practice generosity by sharing my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in real need. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. I will respect the property of others, but I will prevent others from profiting from human suffering or the suffering of other species on earth. For our Dharma readings, we've been reading a book by the nuns of Amaravati called The Body, Dhamma Reflections on Aging, Illness, and Death. And we're in a Dhamma talk by Ajahn Candasiri called Reflection on Well-Being. We also need to be very careful about the ill will that we can harbor towards one another, particularly when we're right. Maybe someone is making a complete mess of things and being quite unskillful in the way that they're living. Well, what's a skillful response to that? I remember during one winter retreat at the time of the First Gulf War, Ajahn Sumedho would listen to the news, and each day he would tell us about what was happening during the war. He talked about Saddam Hussein, who was definitely being portrayed as the villain. I noticed in my own heart a tendency to feel a lot of anger, a lot of righteousness, indignation, even quite powerful rage in relation to this human being who seemed to be causing so much harm to others. So as I reflected on this, I thought, well, is this vengefulness that I'm feeling the most skillful response? There was a feeling of wanting to punish him in some way for the things he was doing. I wanted to make sure he got what he deserved. Well, he deserves something really horrible, and it's up to me to make sure he gets it. It was a very powerful feeling. I've had it in relation to other people as well, the sense that it's up to me to punish them and bring about justice. This can happen in quite obvious and extreme ways, but it can also happen in subtle ways. I've noticed it in relation to little things that can happen in the monastery. Somebody consistently not turning up for washing up, or being late for the puja. I can have similar feelings of indignation, wanting to sort them out, to put them right. Many years ago at Chithurst, when I was in Anagarika, I was in the kitchen making tea one day. It was winter time, and the kitchen at Chithurst used to be very popular in winter because it was a place where it was warm. Everywhere else was cold and damp. Ajahn Anando, who was a senior monk at that particular time, came into the kitchen. He'd obviously been having a very difficult time with somebody. He looked at me, sighed, and said, "Thank goodness I don't have to be concerned with sorting out other people's karma." I've reflected on that a lot, the feeling of having to sort people out and make sure they get their just desserts. But actually, we don't have to do that. It's not up to us to punish, blame, or take revenge. We can let go of that, and it's such a relief. The law of karma takes care of it all. We don't need to concern ourselves with judging or punishing each other. So the good news is that it's not up to us to sort these things out. Our duty is to maintain a sense of ease and well-being. Our duty is to free the heart from suffering. Our duty is to realize complete liberation. That's our duty. Our duty isn't to fall into hell over somebody else's misdeed. We don't have to do that. We have a choice. We don't have to linger in states of resentment, bitterness, or cruelty. The Buddha talks about this in the Dhammapada. He says that hatred never ceases through hatred. You're not going to find happiness if you keep thinking about somebody who's abused you, hurt you, robbed you, or beaten you up. That doesn't bring us a sense of well-being. With mindfulness, we realize we have a choice. We don't have to stay in these states. We can let them go. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.